Something has changed at Blizzard and employees are talking. The final WoW updates of the year. This is interesting, guys. What has changed? I mean, I'll tell you, I feel like Blizzard listen to feedback more. I feel like they're doing a better job of kind of iterating on things as players give them updates on how they're feeling about the game. Maybe that's what Bellular's talking about here. Let's see what Bellular's talking about with the changes happening at Blizzard.
Well, this has been an interesting year, and while this is the final news episode of the year, it's going to end as an interesting year, because today I've got two kind of wild stories. One of them is an unmitigated disaster for those involved, and the other one is actually a message of hope, where we've learned something kind of shocking about Blizzard that makes 2026 actually look quite bright, and it's coming from a source that very much is not known for glazing Blizzard. A lot to get to then, so let's jump in. Now, if you want the superpower of coding, listen up, because most coding courses are kind of absolute bollocks. I mean, between the lectures, textbooks, lacks of structure,
I'm gonna guess.
And that is why I recommend today's sponsor, boot.dev, because they have built something that is different.
Not pre-watched, I just fucking knew it based on what I was saying.
And I say that being a BS computer science, the stuff I went to university for, so when I say I think Boot is absolutely awesome, that's because I actually know what coding stuff is. Now, their founder, Lane, reached out to me years ago because he's a WoW
This proves
player.
it.
Since then, he's got 750k students. Over that, they've completed 33.7 million lessons, so people are using Boot. And that's because it just teaches, I think, incalculably better. Now, they teach back-end development. That's the kind that lands you those lovely 100k plus jobs. It's through a proper 12-month paced program that is structured like a role-playing game. Now, you'll be learning TypeScript, which they recently added. I'm super happy about that. Go and Python, from the fundamentals right through to building actual real projects.
Oh, wow.
So it's not some learn to code in 2 weeks scammy thing that just floods the market with another vibe coder with another SaaS. No, Boot teaches you the fundamentals that separate professional developers from people shipping security nightmares. And most of all for me, it's got the sauce.
Sounds like me, professional.
Fun, it's well structured, the XP, the achievements, even the boss battles, the likes of Boots, and essentially the craft of how it is actually made. You can tell they give a shit. But the best news is you can get 25% off your first purchase at boot.dev/Bellular. The way to save the most would be to do the annual plan, and you can do that with the confidence that if you are not happy, they will refund you on the spot. Yeah. And you know what? You can actually go and browse all of their content for completely free.
Amazing stuff.
Pay whenever you
use
want
the man's code.
The game side of things. Remember Turtle WoW? So 2025 was the year that it really took off, but it has actually now all ended in a bit of catastrophe.
As I predicted.
So here's the context you need for this story. Turtle
still my most downvoted video in the history of my YouTube channel is the video where I talked about the downfall of Turtle WoW. And all the comments were like, this guy's fucking stupid. Blizzard will never take them down. It's impossible. And I talked about all the issues that were going to happen for them legally, all the problems that they're going to see, the things that are going to create a more difficult way of running the servers. And yes, they're overseas. And I went. You can go look on my channel, look for a Turtle WoW video. But like I said, most downvoted video in the history of my channel. These Turtle WoW people get very angry when you talk about their game.
Private server team that basically could
it's
do
gone.
no wrong in the eyes of many. And they did a lot of really cool dev work. And the last few WoW patches that they released turned out to be the Classic Plus experience that many people really wanted. The new content was lore accurate to Classic, but even more than that, and more importantly, it was tone accurate. It actually felt like more Classic in the way that people wanted. Just that early Blizzard texture that Season of Discovery perhaps lacked in places. Plus the small fact that playing in their server was often a better experience than the official Blizzard ones.
Oh, by the way, my other prediction when I said, the Turtle WoW, I always said that we know Blizzard's going to start taking Classic Plus seriously when we see Turtle WoW get taken down. And we just saw Turtle WoW get taken down. So guess what I'm predicting will be announced at the BlizzCon in 2026. Yeah, I think they're announcing Classic Plus officially, boys. I really think it's going to happen. And I've been saying, we always knew that if they ever go after these private servers, like for real, and go out after the Turtle WoWs and shit, that means the next thing that's going to happen is an official Classic Plus announcement. We are living in that time. So I think that's definitely going to happen. A true prophet, that's right.
Because they had real GMs.
I do it for free on Twitch. Amazing, right?
Kind of nowhere in sight. They were actually being dealt with. Now that does all sound fantastic, right? Well, that's obviously not what put them on the map this year. Two major things happened earlier on that lead to what's happened today. The first was this. This is a trailer for Turtle WoW 2.0, and it's a version of Classic WoW running on the Unreal Engine. So basically, big old client-side port. Now, this was due to release December 2025, and it promised a fairly insane future. Now, to many people, looks very great and cool, and the engineer in me thinks it's a really awesome project.
It does look nice.
However, I think artistically, it kinda mostly did look terrible. You know, the spell effects were ugly as sin, and WoW's assets were not designed for the realistic lighting that will be coming with Unreal Engine. But obviously, it drew a lot of hype and a lot of attention.
Yeah, I don't know if WoW's art style lends itself to that kind of like extreme lighting and stuff. It's not the best clash of styles. I would love to see WoW up-resed more. I love the new zones. Like, I mean, we're seeing Silvermoon, right? Completely rebuilt with the new way of doing shit. And it looks like a game that belongs in today's century, right? Previously, old Silvermoon was tough to look at. It was. So I don't mind them up-resing the game. But I like it that they keep it in the kind of the WoW art style. I don't know if I ever want to see a hyper-realistic World of Warcraft.
And this combo of hype and blatant infringement that drew Blizzard's ire.
Diablo-style graphics.
Even more attention. You see, it wasn't a standard private server story. Thanks to Blizzard's filing, we basically saw a dark old history of the Turtle WoW team's Russian leadership coming to light, where in short, there's, at least according to what Blizzard are alleging, a underground mafia making bank on cash shops and basically the whole hype cycle of, new private servers.
This is where Turtle WoW just went too far. This is why they didn't just get a cease and desist. They were making money off the damn thing. I mean, I don't get how they ever thought they were going to get away with this forever. They're literally making money and running a business off of a ripped-off IP. It's not going to happen forever.
And, well, not even joking here. Like, it does actually all appear to be real. Now, of course, as an American company, Blizzard really couldn't do that much in the Russian courts. But they did find a way. They found an American team member. And since September, they have been raking said team member over the legal courts. Now, of course, lawsuits take time, and on that front, there have been no major updates. But as it turns out, Turtle really did enjoy being on the map. And that's where today's story begins to heat up. So shortly after the lawsuit, they made a public plea to Blizzard saying, please Blizzard, see sense. Set up a licensing agreement so Turtle and other servers can go legit. Yeah. And we covered that in depth previously, including how they made loads of, I would say, fairly basic, like populist arguments that were completely flawed when you actually looked into the depth of the situation. So they made a bunch of surface level comparisons that, all fine with vibes, but just didn't really hold any water in reality.
None of these comparisons fit the same architecture of a game that was currently being run for profit by a company while allowing another version of the game to be run, complete ripoff of the game to be run for profit as well, directly feeding competition. All these things are either like games that no longer exist, so the IP was allowed to be run by another, and all of them also didn't involve like making a profit, right? Taking money away from the main company that made the game. So the examples that they put here just didn't hold water. Eggsy WoW art style, a lot of people love to copy it, like WoW style. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's a good art style.
You actually went through them on a case-by-case basis, which we did. So in reality, it wasn't really a plea to Blizzard at all. It was just a simple PR move to gain more favor with the community, and it worked for their target audience. Turtle was back in the headlines. And now, 2 months later, they've got themselves another headline. So, remember when I said the Turtle WoW 2.0 was due out later this month? Well, the news is that it's actually not due out later this month. It no longer has a release date, because right as it was due to come out, they've just went and cancelled it. Basically, some people suggest that the money ran out. Other people are saying that it was never real in the first place. A few are saying that this is all one big rug pull to farm up donations all year and then just walk away with the donation money. And that last idea sure would sting, especially because they haven't actually given a reason for this going down. And we all know how that goes down. Silence breeds speculation. And of course, yes, all of that stuff may be true, but I actually think there's a little bit more to it. So, the actual statement they put out says that their, quote, development agreement is, quote, permanently discontinued. Now, that is a very specific sort of language. Essentially, it seems they're distancing themselves from the Unreal Azeroth team, or the people doing this work. Now, not long after, they also changed their domain name, and without warning, they moved from turtlewow.org to turtlecraft.gg.
Wow.
And that actually gave us the answer to what's going on here. Basically, Blizzard has them on the run, and specifically,
What's up, Alice?
Discovery is what has them on the run. And
Yeah, I told you guys. Like people kept talking about the overseas shit going down, and I said, but they use American companies, like their Discord, like their YouTube channel, like their website, like a lot of this shit that's running through American servers. Guess what? Blizzard can go after it. So while Turtle WoW can still exist on some server in fucking Siberia or something, all the connections to it can be cut. So what's the point then of running a server that people have a really hard time gaining access to? Well, there is no point anymore. She'll die. That's what happened.
Discovery, I don't mean the science, history, ghosts, and aliens.
Welcome in,
people.
Alice.
No, I mean that part of the law, the process of legally obtaining evidence. This basically means bank statements, emails, that kind of thing. Just anything that could be relevant, right? So, in October, Blizzard's lawyers contacted every company they could. Anyone that they could target.
Wait, did they claim their Discord got hacked? Is that what they claimed? That's funny if that's what they said.
As a part of their big case. And very importantly for today, that includes Epic Games. They're the makers of Unreal Engine, and it also includes Namecheap, who are the bunch that Turtle purchased their domain with. Now, that allowed Blizzard to find out more stuff about the people involved. As an example, like the domain owner in Kazakhstan, and the owner of AFK Craft, which is one of Turtle's shell companies. And this document, by the way, was filed the very same day as Turtle's announcement.
Ooh.
So if you ask me, I think this is likely the real answer. The discovery process is finding people, and I think they are scrambling to get themselves out of the blast zone of all that stuff. So in the end, I think Blizzard's lawsuit has had the effect that they wanted. Turtle is on the run. I think what we're seeing here is basically evidence of that, as they are trying to clean things up so that, for them, hopefully, less is found in Discovery that would be a bad look.
Right.
Perhaps more than a bad look.
Like a store.
For now, though, there's no impact
store.
to the actual existing private server, but this is just the beginning of the legal process. So expect more major stuff here, but to end, in their plea to Blizzard, they said, Turtle WoW is here to stay. We will have to see how well that statement will age. The next year may look a bit grim for Turtle, but seemingly it looks kinda good for Blizzard. So here's the deal, right? Johanna Fares is someone who's been pretty much behind the camera most of the time. I wouldn't be surprised if many of you didn't even know who she is, but basically, she has been Blizzard's president for about 2 years now, though she's very low-key about it. But largely, we don't have a sense of her because we've not really seen her at BlizzCon. Obviously, there hasn't been a BlizzCon since she started the job, and there will be one in 2026. So
yeah, BlizzCon 2026, I'm excited for it. I think we're going to get some cool stuff out of it. We're going to be like, what, a couple months into midnight at that point? So we could get some, maybe a Titan, last Titan announcement, who knows, or a cinematic of some sort. Maybe not, though. We could get some more, like a basically cinematics for midnight, whatever the final is going to be of it, or some hints at what the next big patch is going to be for it. But I think the main announcement is going to be Classic Plus on the WoW side, if we're being honest. Even though I'm not a Classic Andy, I'll still be interested to see what they're doing with Classic Plus.
To build up that public profile, she's done some interviews in the kind of Christmas roundup period that lots of outlets do. But before any of that, I need to draw your attention to one Reddit comment. So, Jason Schreier historically has been tearing Blizzard
Are we going to
apart
BlizzCon?
at just
I wish.
about every opportunity. I don't think that's because of some irrational hatred of Blizzard. It's, well, been reporting on the company's many foibles and sins over the last many years. So, that's where Jason's coming from. He's done a lot of stories in this company. He has a lot of sources in this company.
Oh yeah, this book
about Blizzard's history that was, very much the things that would be left out of maybe the official company history. So, with that context in mind, what he had to share about Johanna was actually quite a shock, because apparently she's a good president. A Reddit comment claimed that Blizzard staff actually like her. Jason then confirmed that, and in some ways she's been an anti-Kotick, as in Bobby Kotick, where she's reportedly undone some of his initiatives.
She doesn't want a yacht? Bobby needs a boat, though. How's Bobby going to get a boat if she's undoing all this shit? I feel bad for Bobby now. Oh, no.
Now, from what we understand, she's fairly corporate, so we probably won't see her
See what happens when you put a woman in charge.
Jabs at players like Jay Allen.
Or you just don't put a fucking greedy-ass goblin in charge. How about that? I mean, Bobby Kotick, like, you could say what you want about him. He just knows how to drum up profit, I guess, but that's all he cares about. He doesn't care about the product at all. He just siphons and sucks off everything he can possibly do. Every teat available, he just drains it completely. That's the Bobby Kotick way. And then the bad thing about that is it doesn't create longevity, but he got what he wanted at the end of the day. He got Blizzard Activision. Basically, when he picked up Activision, it was fucking in the dirt. He turned it around, acquired Blizzard, and then got that shit acquired by Microsoft. So he walked off into the sunset with a nice chunk of change. I mean, to him, mission accomplished. To us, we fucking hated him.
Brack did. I'd say she's well media trained. I think that does come across in some interviews because there's a lot of corporate jargon that doesn't really mean that much, but apparently there's a really big difference, maybe between her and Jay, and that is that by these reports, she's actually competent, which must be quite nice if you're working there. So, in an interview with Jason, let's get on to the meat of things then, she went over some of what she's changed over the last few years. First, there's the new partnership with NetEase. That's a fairly obvious one, and it was actually one of her priorities. And of course, with
Bobby
happening,
broke
she's
that.
now got millions more players somehow being involved with Blizzard's pockets, via the intermediary, of course, of NetEase. Now, the other big initiative that she's had, to put it bluntly, has been keeping employees sane. Or basically, since her arrival, they've been internally transparent about how well games are doing financially. And they do this very regularly, and that means that staff pretty much always know what their bonuses are going to look like and where that bonus is going to come from. So
That's
basically, people kind of understanding why things are happening, which is often good for morale. And I think on that topic, there's another big change. Really huge one, and that is that the bonus pools are now company-wide. So basically, the Warcraft team would benefit if Diablo does well, and vice versa. That's actually really good. If one game is in between cycles, but another game has a really big release, then basically the bonus pool should be more smoothed out. And the reason why that's good is company retention rate. That's really important if you're a player of World of Warcraft, which you probably are if you're watching this video. Basically, talent walking out the door is often the thing that actually rots games the most.
Did you guys hear about the one departure that I was kind of sad about? The guy who makes, the guy who makes all the secret WoW shit? You know, like the whole Nightmare, Pony, what the fuck was that mount called? With the maze and everything, or all the secret finder shit, like the motorcycle and everything, all that stuff. That guy's leaving. Yeah, that guy's leaving. I don't think it's because of like he's not happy. I think he's just kind of going somewhere else or retiring. So yeah, that guy who made all that really cool shit, the Secret Finder stuff, I believe he's retiring this year.
Talk about like dev decisions, because those are very easy things to like notice publicly, but there's just that silent brain drain that is the real killer of teams over years upon years. So this being fixed up is definitely good, and historically, this bonus
hopefully he taught somebody else how to do it.
Problems at Blizzard, where people would crunch their ass for a few months on a real low salary, all because there would be a promise of a bonus. But then that bonus may never really appear. Ultimately, people would often not really know why they didn't end up getting a bonus, and then management basically say, hey, good times are just around the corner,
Here's a pizza party. It's all right. Yeah, you lost out on some, but here's a pizza party.
Hold on another year, and then there'll be a big...
Only take one slice each, though. Don't be fucking greedy. All right, take your flimsy paper plate and get the fuck out of here.
Bonus.
Get back to work.
For years upon years, that kind of
eat at your desk.
Then Blizzard's reputation went down, and people in that local area started paying a hell of a lot of more money. Essentially, a lot of Blizzard's best talent just got poached by Riot. Obviously not just Riot, but you get the picture, and they tended to be the people offering the most money.
Interesting.
Now,
a lot of people don't know this, but Riot is still working on their MMO. Some people think it got canceled. They didn't get canceled. They just decided to go back to the drawing board and kind of reset on that thing. So they don't have a release date anymore or anything, but they are still doing it. Riot is creating an MMO. Supposedly one that's able to compete with WoW. We'll see. I mean, if anyone is capable of it, Riot would be. They have a background with League of Legends lore and everything that goes crazy deep. Runeterra, Arcane, like all that shit is crazy lore that they can pull from. We'll see. It's an interesting one. I wonder if we're going to get any announcements about it in 2026.
I want to bore you with more technical production.
What kind of MMO?
Things,
a WoW style
MMO matter to the game that we're getting. So here's the takeaway on the actual how games are getting made from these interviews, and that is that allegedly Blizzard is genuinely changing. Overall, what that means is WoW is making more content faster with fewer slip-ups. I'd certainly have a few little foibles about that. Diablo 4 is about to release a second expansion. That's something that Diablo 3 never managed.
Cool
If
ass
you don't remember,
cinematic.
that's because Blizzard management panicked about sales, and they shifted gears purely out of fear, even though, well, in hindsight, everyone knows that was a mistake.
That was a mistake, yeah.
Reaper of Souls was a huge success, and that the panic over immediate Diablo 3 sales basically killed Blizzard's opportunity to do a good follow-up. Then, obviously, years later, Overwatch 2 PvE got cancelled because they just didn't have faith in how it was turning out. Obviously, that's a rug pull that devastated that game and its team. And basically,
Yeah, Overwatch killed itself, really. I mean, Marvel Rivals is what Overwatch kind of should have been, right? All the success that Marvel Rivals have is basically because Overwatch had all this promised shit that they just kept dropping the ball on. And then Overwatch 2 happened, and oh my god, it's just not good. Not good. I used to like Overwatch a lot.
the combination of all of this,
I haven't played it in a long
nobody
time.
really trusted Blizzard anymore. If we're to fast forward to the story of the current era, it is basically that they're moving forward, they're moving fast.
We'll see if they can fix
and
it
that even the
in
seemingly
2026.
cursed Overwatch is kind of slowly clawing back support. Basically, it seems that Stadium and Perks have given that game a little bit more of a lease of life. But basically, all these comms are about a Blizzard that seems secure enough to actually stick to their plans. Basically, grind out until the game is good. I think what that means is that 2026 may not be perfect, but I think it will look a good bit better than things have in recent years.
Yeah, Overwatch had so much promise. Good franchise, good lore. Like as a WoW player, you guys know, a lot of you. I don't play a lot of other games other than WoW. WoW is like the game that turns you into not a gamer. It really feels that way sometimes. But Overwatch was a game that I got really into. I really did enjoy it. I used to crave playing it. I mean, fucking headshotting with Hanzo was great. It felt great. And then I just slowly teared it off. And then when Overwatch 2 came out, I played it for a little bit and I just stopped. I did. So, I mean, will they bring it back? We'll see. Maybe they can make a comeback. I haven't kept up with it. I don't even know who the heroes are anymore, honestly. We'll see if 2026 is a good year for Overwatch.
Though obviously, that is coming from a bunch of interviews with someone who is, by all accounts, really well regarded within the company, but obviously is media trained, right? So I am going to have to shake some salt over just about everything that I said there. Basically, I do see a lot of the change that's happened in the times that I've talked to Ian Hazakostas or Holly, and a few opportunities over the years. It's been interesting seeing updates on how they've changed the actual team structure and all of those things. But as much as that has given us good shit, obviously we've had a lot of QA issues when it comes to patches. And for as amazing as, say, player housing is, and I think it genuinely is amazing, I mean, they also did ship the new player experience with loads of foundational problems.
Look, there were I think the War Within had some of the most follied and dropped patch launches that we've seen in a while. I mean, every single patch really broke shit until the end. I will say this last patch was the best launch of any patch we've seen the entire expansion. It was a really good launch. There were some bugs here and there, but it was playable for the most part. It was actually fun. It was a nice patch launch, smooth. This last one was really good. We had some really bad ones early on in the War Within, and I don't know why they were so bad, why shit was breaking so bad. It was basically unplayable every time a patch launched, at least for the first day. But this last one, no, they did it right. They did it right, so we'll see if they can continue that.
Which isn't the best way to finish off an expansion. So, I love all the vibes coming from these interviews with Johanna Faris, but I certainly would say the quality of delivery needs to be better than it was in 2025. Because even cool features, like say, Light's Radiance, or even the dreaded Awakening the Machine, they could have been cool if the seemingly intended overall design kind of made it into the game. But obviously, you look at Awakening the Machine, that was clearly cut from at least what data mining suggested it at one point could have been, and the likes of Flames Radiance were kind of written off by players because it was busted when it launched. We can't have that continuing, so for as good as all that stuff from Joanna is, I need to see the quality of delivery go up. And that brings me to our final thing.
Fair.
What does Blizzard's 2026 look like? Well, the big quote their president left was this: "The teams across Blizzard entirely as an organization are gearing up for what we hope to be the biggest year yet for Blizzard, and we take that statement very seriously."
Oh, yeah.
It's a bold claim. Let's work through it. We've got pre-patch for midnight on January 20th. That's when a few combat add-ons will be breathing their last, and of course, whenever we get to see WoW's approachable combat. And that will forever change how you actually play the game. Now, 6 weeks after that, we'll actually be playing Midnight. The expansion will be out. That's
Exciting.
fairly huge. And at least from what we've played of Alpha and Beta, it's an expansion that so far is a massive improvement on all of the groundwork that Blizzard laid with The War Within.
Cool
it's
models.
not like evolutionarily a completely different brand new thing, but it is a very big improvement. And it's a major help that it's actually based, not to be a bit too rude, but in a bit of the game that people actually give a shit about, and, with a bunch of characters that people actually give a shit about, as opposed to, random ass Earth and Island.
Right. I will say he's kind of hinting at here, and what I definitely think too is that Midnight is going to have a much better story. I think The War Within, it was such a mishmash of shit, and it's because Metzen tried to turn it into something that it wasn't originally planned to be, to try to shoehorn it into the rest of this expansion slash saga of expansions. And I think now we're in the center of the story, and now we can kind of really pick up with it and run with it. And I think that's what we're going to see in Midnight is really the story is just going to get so much better now.
People in it. That stuff is better. So I think Midnight's looking good, although I absolutely expect a lot of turbulence. After the expansion drops, expect patches basically 8 weeks as they have been through this expansion. But as for the rest of Blizzard, well, in late April, that's when we'll be getting Diablo 4 Lord of Hatred. Apparently Lilith is going to be back, which as a lover of deep history in the cradle of civilization, I'm very down on, given,
fucking badass
Lilith.
paladin.
I think she was totally wasted in D4. But to keep it big picture, Joanna Faris said that Blizzard now aims for 2 major releases a year, so Midnight and Lord of Hatred should be Blizzard's big headliners. But there's quite clearly something else, because Faris called this Midnight and Lord of Hatred thing a kickstart to Blizzard's 2026. So let's think about other things then. We've got Diablo's 30th anniversary this year. There are hints they'll have some sort of surprise lined up. Some people hope it's a D1 remaster, of course, after the success of Diablo 2 Resurrected. Maybe.
Do we need all these remasters? I feel like now with video games have entered the era of the kind of movie remakes shit. I don't know. Yeah, we need it. I don't know. I feel like the new games are horrible. Well, that's what happens. I feel like that's the same thing that's happened with the movie industry. Is that a lot of the new movies that people try to write are shit. So they're just piggybacking off the old stuff, either by trying to make bad sequels or remaking the originals. But that's just like a lack of creativity. I'd rather see people taking chances and making new games. But we just keep getting these remasters now because they're such easy moneymakers, man. You could probably have AI fucking remaster this shit now for you, honestly, rather than putting devs on it even and just make a bunch of money reselling an old game. But I'd like to see new stuff. I would.
It's also Overwatch's 10th anniversary, which genuinely shocks and despairs me, but hey, time sure does pass. Anyway, they could have something brewing there. But on the WoW side, Classic has been quiet for a while. I would not expect a release, but I certainly do
Classic
expect
Plus
news.
announced for sure.
And when better to deliver that news than, of course, at BlizzCon. A grand return to BlizzCon will be their best chance to grab people's attention, and I think it will be humongous. Actually humongous. So, obviously, the Classic team's cooking something up. We literally know that it's Classic Plus, we just don't know what it looks like. I think that'll obviously be talked about. I'd say we will also likely find out something about The Last Titan then. It's a distinct possibility, so that's a lot of announcements already. Maybe then a surprise Diablo 1. Hopefully something special for Overwatch. And there have been rumblings of StarCraft 2. We do know they've got at least one project going in the StarCraft universe, so maybe there'll be something there. And of course, by the time that this BlizzCon happens, which is uncharacteristically early in the year, it's September instead of November, but at about that time, we'll have our first...
Maybe StarCraft would lend itself to a really cool, Helldivers style game, you know? I don't know all the lore behind StarCraft and everything, but I just think aesthetically it kind of lends itself to some kind of version of that game, maybe some kind of FPS or something. Who knows?
Major Midnight patch. And generally by the end of an expansion's first major patch, at least with the news cycle of things, we do actually know where the story is going. So by that point, we'll probably know what the final big patch is, and that means that The Last Titan, I think, will be presentable for them. So, seemingly quite a lot. Maybe 2026 is supposed to start with delivery, basically build up some credibility by actually delivering shit, and then towards the end of the year, basically say, hey, Classic Plus, StarCraft, The Last Titan, and just do a bunch of things that'll be impressive to people. If that's what they pull off, I think it could be a genuinely great year. I definitely don't think it will be a perfect year, No, I don't. There will be friction. There will be turbulence.
Like, does any company ever have a
look
perfect
at the
year?
number of bugs we tend to have with new patches and stuff. I think these things will get better, but I don't think 2026 will end with those systemic problems solved. Still, I think it is shaping up to be a genuinely great year for Blizzard, and that actually does feel really damn good to say. And to be ready for that, well, why not queue up our Midnight class series? We've got the winners and losers of melee DPS, range DPS, and tanks. Healers will be in the new year. So go give that a watch. We'll have a few more things in the channel before the new year, but this is my final recording session. So yeah, I guess goodbye 2025, roll on 2026. I wish you all well. I'll see you again in the new year.
Nice video. Nice wrap up kind of 2025. Do I see a lot of big things happening this year? I do. I mean, given BlizzCon's coming back, crazy big announcement. Classic Plus will be a huge freaking announcement. Overwatch and everything getting attention, maybe. Warcraft even. Yeah, it should be fun. But for most of all, what we care about on this end, like World of Warcraft related shit, I think we're going to have, the Midnight launch and everything. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a good expansion, hopefully. Maybe I'm on copium right now, but I just feel like the story and everything is going to get better. I feel like there's some momentum behind WoW right now, and all they got to do is keep it going. Keep it going, Blizzard. And if they can do that, we're going to have probably a really good expansion to look back on in a year. So, nice video overall, though, from Bellular.